Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. And I'm finally getting around to doing a video about Granicus. And it's kind of one of those records I probably should have done a year ago when I first started covering a lot of hard rock bands because Granicus was right up there with Head Over Heels and Hard Stuff and all these other legendary 70s hard rock bands. And I just didn't get around to Granicus for some reason, so I'm going to do it now. For people who watch my channel, I would imagine most have heard this record by now and are probably fans. But if you haven't, then I can turn you on to it. It'd be great. So once again, if you like that early 70s hard rock proto metal thing, Granicus is one of the monsters. Been reissued a bunch of times and um, really it's quality work. And I finally did enough research to find out that Granicus is the name came from the river where Alexander the Great had his first victory over the Persians. So kind of obscure reference that they came up with, but it's got one of the all-time great 70s hard rock album covers, as you can tell from the thumbnail. And they were around from 1969 to 1974. But they only managed to put out this one album. They got signed to RCA, and of course RCA was signing up all kinds of really cool hard rock bands around that time. They also had Ursa Major and Highway Robbery, two just monumental hard rock albums of that era, and Granicus is right up there with them. And they did pretty well for themselves. Of course, they were huge in Cleveland where they came out of, and they got to open shows for Cactus, which would have been a great bill. And then they opened for Bob Seger and Spirit as well, and I'm sure a whole bunch of other bands. So the band is Al Pinnell on guitar, Joe Battaglia on drums, Woody Leffel on vocals, David Bedford on bass, and Wayne Anderson on lead guitar. So another classic two guitar, bass, drums, vocals band. So there's a lot of great dual guitar work on it, a lot of different tempos. They got a really nice kind of not quite heavy guitar sound. It's more overdriven, so it gives it a real kind of special sound as far as I'm concerned. And then just that twin guitar work is really great. And then Woody Leffel has really cool vocals. I kind of remind a lot of people talk that he kind of remind him of Geddy Lee of Rush, but he actually kind of reminds me of David Surkamp from Pavlov's Dog. Not near as high as him, but he just kind of has that same tonal quality as David Surkamp. So really high vocals, which really gives the band a particular character as well. And there's a couple of longer songs on it that are pretty epic and slower. And a lot of heavy bands around that period kind of like to do that thing. But the material is really strong. It's recorded really well. The band is great, great rhythm section, really cool, distinctive vocalist. Really interesting lyrics. So pretty much a top tier band. I wouldn't even call them a second tier band, even though they didn't really cut the mustard. But they really had it all going on. If they stuck together, they probably would have been pretty successful. And in fact, they did a bunch of recordings, demos for the second album in 1974, and they were released in 2010. It's called Thieves, Liars, and Traitors. And I was very disappointed when I heard it because they basically took some demos and they don't really have the classic sound of the album, either the material or the guitar sounds, and then they dubbed in some new vocalists. So Woody Leffel didn't want to partake of it. I'm not surprised. By 2010, he probably wasn't singing anywhere near the way he was in 1973, and particularly that high of vocal quality. So, but the Granicus album is definitely a must-have, and you'll pay for it now. It's definitely grown in stature over the years, and everybody wants it. And it's one of those covers that's hard to get in good condition. So but it's worth getting. And it's worth holding out for a really clean copy. And Granicus, wow. Check them out. As always, the link's below. I'm not going to put a link to the Thieves, Liars, and Traitors record. I don't really think it's worth having. But there's also a 4-song radio show from '73 that's really cool. and I'll post that below. And it's available out there as a limited vinyl. I think it's already gone now, but it was really great after all those years to get that live set, because a lot of us like me, I bought that album new when it came out in '73. I bought it just because the cover looked really cool, and then I started hearing it on the radio. So I really thought they were tipped for the big time. So it looks like that's all we're going to get from them, the one album and then the radio show. But that's more than you get a lot of times with a lot of these obscure bands. So but had to wait quite a few years to get that radio show, but well worth checking out. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.